Hey guys, what's up? Welcome to another video. In today's video, we're going to be going over the NCAA Men's Committee, their new thing that they started last year where they reveal the top 16 teams in their mind going into a month from Selection Sunday now, so we can kind of get a tiny little glimpse into what the committee's maybe thinking, into what's possibly going on. And most of these teams, this is basically their sort of lock into the March Madness. This is kind of their year lock. You're a lock for now. So yeah, so let's get into it. And before we do get into it, in the top right corner right now are more videos just exactly like this. Yesterday I did a video on the Yu Darvish signing with the Cubs. So yeah, let's get right into it. First we'll go over the South region where the number 1 overall seed came out of in the bracket. Number 1 Virginia is in that the seedings in that region. Number 1 overall Virginia. I agree with this because Virginia's been playing the hottest basketball maybe in the country. Despite their loss to Virginia Tech, exactly what the committee said, they still played really good throughout the beginning of the season and middle of the season. And now as we get to the end, this one little loss, and it's not going to really do anything to their reputation. Second seed is Cincinnati from the AAC, and one of the most underrated teams maybe that's gonna come up. And the men's committee making a statement saying we're not gonna underrate teams that deserve to be up here. We might overrate teams, but with this Cincinnati pairing at number 2 shows that if you're an underrated team, that the men's committee can still see you and put you up in those positions. Number 3 is Michigan State, and I'm going to go over why I disagree with this in just a little bit when we go to the West region. Our third region we go over. But Michigan State coming off a nice win against Purdue. They're 12-2 in the Big Ten, and they're number 3 seed. I kind of disagree with this. But then again, they did lose to Ohio State, and Ohio State is only where they're at. I'm not going to reveal where they are. I'm going over the East region next, and that's where they landed. But yeah, Michigan State, I guess it's just a couple of bad losses in the Big Ten that's gonna have to do something with this number 3 pairing. And then number 4, Tennessee, and I agree with this. I think that they should be a number 4 seed. I think that with their spot in the SEC right now, that they're in that position to get that 4 seed. Their basketball program kind of came up from out of nowhere this year, and they were able to get to this position. So a number 4 seed in the South region, Tennessee, just doing a good job being able to get into this top 16. Now we move into the East region. The number 1 seed there is Villanova. Despite losing to St. John's, they had a bounce-back win, and they've had a really good year in the Big East. St. John's, they've lost St. John's and Butler in the Big East, but that's about it. And Villanova, always a team that's going to be up with the 1 and 2 seeds. The number 2 seed is Duke, and they've had really an up and down season. They're just coming off a loss to St. John's, playing against Georgia Tech at the time I'm recording this video. And Duke, I believe, is a 3 team, honestly, in my mind, because it's just the fact of they're just such a good basketball program, and they just got a huge recruit in Zion Williamson. I think that it's coming to that thing where we won't underrate teams that deserve to be up there, but we might overrate teams. And I think the 2 seed is definitely where the committee might have gotten wrong the most. And I'll go over why when we go over the Midwest and West regions. Next, 3rd seed, Texas Tech. And I think that after that win against West Virginia when they lost to, I believe it was Iowa State, I think after that they just flew under the radar of everybody. And with this 3 seed pairing, and now I think they're going to start flying. I think they're going to start coming into the radars of people. After they did have a quality win against West Virginia, so you can't really forget about that. And I don't know if you're going to count that as a quality win, as I'm going to reveal West Virginia is not in the top 16. So that is, it's not shocking to me because they just lost a whole bunch of. The only win they've had recently is Oklahoma. They lost to Texas Tech, Oklahoma State yesterday, and it's just been a whirlwind, a kind of down spiral for West Virginia. So if you want to count that as a quality win for Texas Tech, go ahead, and I'm going to do so as well. But, Texas Tech could be one of those teams with a quality win, a surprising quality win, and be the ones to make a far run that is a team that deserves to be there but flies under everybody's radar. One of those teams. I think that they can make definitely a run in March. And then the 4th seed, the Ohio State Buckeyes. And that might be, I don't know why, because Michigan State, and you can't count that as a bad loss anymore because Ohio State is in the top 4. And I'll review why it's not a bad loss because I don't want to give away anything, and this has to do with the rest of the bracket and the bracket preview. And, it's just kind of, I thought Ohio State could have gotten a 3 seed. I thought coming into the day they would get a 3 seed, but a 4 seed, I can definitely see it. So they got a 4 seed. They would be playing Villanova if it was a 16-team bracket, and it was today. But yeah, Ohio State, they're one of the most underrated teams that can hang with all these big teams. Probably now because they just come off. They beat at the time number 1 seed of Michigan State. They beat the team that people are calling the hottest team in college basketball right now. Ended a huge winning streak on them, gave them their first loss in the Big Ten. And now, if they win out, they could. Even if they don't win out and they only lose one game, they have the tiebreaker over Purdue and Michigan State. They're in the prime position to win the Big Ten and be the number 1 seed going into the tournament. They have the sole possession lead in the Big Ten without any tiebreakers. So Ohio State may be one of the most underrated teams that can make a splash and hang with all these other big teams probably out there. Next, we move on to the West region. The number 1 seed, Purdue. And now I'm gonna go to the Michigan State Ohio State thing because Ohio State just beat Purdue. Michigan State just beat Purdue, and Purdue is the highest seed coming out of the Big Ten. That just baffles me because Michigan State, a 3 seed, they just beat a number 1 seed at Purdue. How do they deserve a 3 seed? Ohio State, how do they deserve a 4 seed when they beat a number 3 team and a number 1 team in the bracket right now? It's just, I don't know how they put Purdue at number 1. Maybe just because a lot of the top teams lost and they couldn't put anybody up there. That might be it, honestly. Purdue, and the committee said they had 2 tough losses to quality teams. Who cares if they can't hang with the quality teams? They had a soft schedule at that point. And if they can't hang with the quality teams, then how do they deserve to be a number 1 seed? That's just a little, it just doesn't, I don't know why. The number 2 seed there is Kansas, and they just came off a bad road loss to Baylor. They've lost twice at their home stadium this year, and it just hasn't been a good year for Bill Self and the Kansas Jayhawks. But the number 2 seed, and who else is deserving of that number 2 seed, really? I think Kansas does deserve that 2 seed because they still have had some quality wins this year over West Virginia and Oklahoma. So you really can't count them out as a 2 seed. Number 3, North Carolina, coming off a big win against a number 2 seed right now, Duke. So I think North Carolina is in a good position to at least maybe get to a 2 spot. I think this 3 seed is definitely saying, though, you still need to pick up the slack. You're not doing the best at this point, but you definitely can do better, and you definitely should do better and to get to a number 2 spot. But this number 3 seeding with North Carolina coming off a big win against Duke. I don't know if they would have been a 4 seed. I personally think that win or lose against Duke this week, I think North Carolina you should have gotten a 3 seed. Number 4, Arizona, the 1 Pac-12 team in this top 16, and they just got upset by UCLA, and the Pac-12 is basically up for grabs at this point. And Arizona being a 4 seed, I think it might be the men's committee just throwing in a Pac-12 team so they don't get criticized for it. I would not have criticized them for not putting a Pac-12 team in because I personally think that they don't deserve to be a Power 5 team in basketball. They don't have good basketball teams. The Big East has good basketball teams. The American Athletic Conference has some good basketball teams. Proof, Cincinnati coming out of the American Athletic Conference. Villanova coming out of the Big East Conference. There's Butler. There's Xavier. You have 2 number 1 seeds coming out of the Big East Conference, and they're still not even a Power 5 school. I think that Big East is better than Pac-12. And a lot of people would have criticized the men's committee for not throwing in a Pac-12 team, but I would not have. So now we move on to the Midwest region. The number 1 team, I just said it, Xavier. They are actually the 3rd number 1 team. Purdue is number 4th for the number 1 seeds. And Xavier coming off a close win, but they 2 road wins this week. And Xavier, I think that they could definitely defeat Villanova and win a Big East Conference championship. I think that even if Xavier loses a game coming up, and it doesn't come, I mean, if they lose a game in the regular season and then they don't win a Big East, that's gonna hurt them. But if they win out in the regular season, if they lose the Big East, I think Villanova is in a prime position. All they have to do is win out and at least get to the Big East championship game. That could be a number 1 seed. But I think Xavier still has more to prove. They are going to be the ones who are going to need to get and win the Big East championship. So the way we're going to see 2 Big East teams as the number 1 seed as it stands now is Villanova and Xavier meet in the Big East championship, and Xavier wins. Now move on to the 2 seed, and this is my most controversial of the day. Auburn. Are you kidding me? An 8 seed, and they just came off a bad loss this week. I don't see Auburn being there. Earlier in the year, I said that they were an underrated team, but as soon as I said that, quickly they became an overrated team. They were in close games against bad teams, and they just lost to a bad team, and they're a number 8 seed, and I definitely see them dropping out of the top 10 in the new AP rankings. I think it's tomorrow. But if they don't do that, I really don't know how Auburn is a number 2 seed. I see them as a 3 or a 4. I do not see them as a number 2. The number 3 seed is Clemson. I agree with Clemson is exactly where they need to be. They've had a good season. ACC has been struggling a little bit. They have Virginia at the number 1, North Carolina at the 3, Duke at the 2. Now they have Clemson at the 3. So I think that Clemson, it's not going to be a good, I don't know if they're going to win the ACC. I don't see it happening, but I can definitely see them going to at least quarterfinals, maybe semifinals. And now the final team, it's Oklahoma 4 seed, and they have been on a down spiral recently. They just lost to Iowa State on a Saturday. They lost to West Virginia. They can't get a single quality win, really, and I don't see Oklahoma coming even close to winning the Big 12. I don't see them being a top 4 team, honestly. I think that Oklahoma does not deserve to be in this top 12, in this top 16, and there are a couple teams outside deserving of a spot looking on the outside in, and all I can say is Commitee had to throw those teams in, or they believe they might have been criticized for it. That's all I have to say about it. So that's my really only thing, maybe, that could have done that. I think that they would have been criticized if they didn't throw those teams in, I guess, or something like that. I don't know, but that's it for the video, guys. Thanks for watching. Like, share, and subscribe for more of this stuff. Tomorrow is the day I will be opening Topps 2018 Baseball Series 1. And so make sure you are subscribed for that. And like, share, and subscribe for more of this stuff. NCAA basketball is coming on the end, and conference tournaments and stuff like that. I'll be doing more NCAA men's basketball videos. And ball hockey season, it's coming up soon. This Wednesday, pitchers and catchers are reporting to spring training. So the baseball season, it's creeping on us. So for ball hockey, make sure you subscribe for that. And yep, until next time, thanks for watching.